Hey everyone, what's up? My name is Warren. Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, then welcome to my channel. Today's video is very special because I am doing my first ever bookshelf tour. This has been a highly requested video for a long time on my channel, and I've never actually done one before, and I feel like it's sort of a rite of passage within the booktube community to film a bookshelf tour. And so I'm going to show you guys my collection of all of my books that I own, my entire library. But before we get started, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about my shelves and just my organization process. I pretty much just organize my books by what I think fits well together. I do have a general organization of my books where I have sci-fi on one shelf, fantasy on one shelf, and usually classics or contemporaries on one shelf. Also, if you're wondering where I got my shelves, they're just regular black shelves from Home Depot. I spent $100 total on both of these shelves right here, so they were $50 each. Very, very inexpensive and affordable, and also very, very sturdy, so I really like them. So, with all of that information out of the way, let's go ahead and get started with the book tour. Some of these angles are a little bit shaky because I was having to hold the camera. I don't have a very tall tripod. I have a small little desk tripod that I use, so I don't actually have something that I can raise all the way up to my top shelves or lower all the way down to my bottom shelves. So some of the camera angles are a little bit shaky and funky. I'm sorry about that. Starting off here, we have the entire Harry Potter series in the original US paperbacks. This is like the first edition of the books that came out in paperback. So I really like these. These are kind of special because these are the ones that I read when I was a kid. I grew up with these books. So to start off, we have Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, the original screenplay, and I really like this cover. I think it's really pretty, and I got this book a few years ago when the movie came out, and I really enjoy it. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, The Prisoner of Azkaban, The Goblet of Fire, The Order of the Phoenix, The Half-Blood Prince, and The Deathly Hallows. Then I have a little Dumbledore Funko Pop here, and this is the Dumbledore from the first two movies before they changed actors. I really like him, and he makes a great addition up here with the rest of the series. Then I have my Luna Lovegood Funko Pop, and I really like her as well. She's got her Ravenclaw uniform on, and she's got her wand ready. She looks ready to fight some Death Eaters, and she's really cute. I really love Luna. She's one of my favorite characters in the series, so she makes a great addition standing on top of the next few books, which are the 20th anniversary edition of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone by Bloomsbury, and each of these is in its respective house edition. Firstly, we have the Slytherin edition, which is my favorite because it's my house, Slytherin House for Life, and I like that this has a cool green cover, and it also has the sprayed edges that make up the house colors here. Next is Hufflepuff with its beautiful gold and black on the cover there, and it has the black and yellow sprayed pages of its house. And then there's Ravenclaw with the blue and black on the cover with its motto at the very bottom there, and this book also has the bronze and blue sprayed edges on its pages. And then the last one is Gryffindor with its magnificent red crimson colors on the black cover, and it has the red and gold sprayed edges on its pages as well, which I think look really nice. And then up here I have my contemporary shelf mixed with a little bit of fantasy that doesn't fit on some of the other shelves. So to start out on the shelf, we have the Anna and the French Kiss trilogy by Stephanie Perkins, and the first book is Anna and the French Kiss. Then we have Lola and the Boy Next Door, and Isla and the Happily Ever After. To All the Boys I've Loved Before, P.S. I Still Love You, and Always and Forever, Lara Jean. Don't Look Back by Jennifer L. Armentrout, Geekerella by Ashley Poston, We Should Hang Out Sometimes by Josh Sundquist, The Lovely Reckless by Cami Garcia, Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell, Love and Gelato by Jenna Evans Welch, Turtles All the Way Down by John Green, Warcross by Marie Lu, Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia, Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. And then down here at the end, I have just a little bit of fantasy. I have the second and third book of the Grisha series by Leigh Bardugo, Siege and Storm, and Ruin and Rising, Reign the Earth by A.C. Goffin, and Everless by Sarah Holland. And then down here at the end, I have my little Batman Funko Pop. He guards the contemporary shelf. Batman is obviously my favorite superhero. So now we're at my fantasy shelf, and this is one of two fantasy bookshelves. The other one is below. And so first off, we have a little Snow White Funko Pop here, and this is the Funko Pop from the Once Upon a Time TV series, and I really like Snow White on the show. She's one of my favorite characters and one of my favorite fairy tales. So the first books on my shelf obviously are my Sarah J. Maas Shrine, because I just love her writing so much, as you all know. I don't really need to take these books out and show them to you because you guys know what they are. First is the A Court of Thorns and Roses trilogy, so we have A Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Mist and Fury, and A Court of Wings and Ruin. And then we have the Throne of Glass series. So technically I have 5 5 books out of the series. I'm still waiting to get Tower of Dawn and the Kingdom of Ash book coming out this fall. So we have The Assassin's Blade, Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, Heir of Fire, Queen of Shadows, and Empire of Storms. After that is the first 2 books of the Mortal Instruments series. I'll take these out to show you. So this is City of Bones. This is the first book in the Mortal Instruments series in the new cover editions, and I like those a lot better than the old covers, so that's why I got that one. And also the City of Ashes by Cassandra Clare, which is book 2. Man, these glares are so bright. I'm sorry you guys can't really see them very well, but there you go. The reason I got these is because I just love their spines. They look so nice. Then I have Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. The reason why it is alone on this shelf is because I didn't have room to fit the other 2 books on here. So this one just by itself, and the gold and kind of blue black coloring to it fits with the rest of the colors on the shelf. Then I have the Hazelwood by Melissa Albert, Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, the sequel Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo as well, Lumine by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman, which you guys know after Sarah J. Maas's series, this is my favorite series, the sequel Gemina, and the last book Obsidio, which I forgot to put on the shelf originally because it was sitting on my bed because it's my current read, but I included it in the bookshelf tour, of course. The next shelf across from my fantasy is my sci-fi collection, and these are all of my space novels, which I have talked about at length in some of my other videos. So to start off, we have the Starbound trilogy, also written by Amy Kaufman, co-author of Illuminae. In reverse order, the series is Their Fractured Light, This Shattered World, and These Broken Stars. Then I also have These Broken Stars in paperback, which was my original edition, and then I got the hardcover to match the rest of the series. But I also really like this paperback edition. Then I also have a deluxe edition of The City of Ember by Jean Duprow, which I have told you guys in my book haul is one of my favorite middle grade authors, and this is one of my favorite sci-fi series of all time. Artemis by Andy Weir, Zodiac by Romina Garber Russell, and then I have another dystopian here called The Thousandth Floor. Then next I have the Across the Universe series by Beth Rivas. This is the first book, Across the Universe, which I really love this cover. It's very pretty. Then I also have the sequel, A Million Suns, which I got both of these at half-priced books. Alienated by Melissa Landers, Nixia by Scott Rankin. Then we come to the Lunar Chronicles. I have the first 3 books in this series, Cinder, Scarlet, and Cress. I don't really need to take these books out. I think you all know what they are. They're pretty popular. I don't have the 4th book yet, Winter, but I need to get it. Then we have the Space Trilogy by C.S. Lewis, which has 3 books, Out of the Silent Planet, Paralandra, and The Hideous Strength. Then we have The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken, The Martian by Andy Weir, Invictus by Ryan Groudon, The Diabolic by S.J. Kincaid, Carve the Mark by Veronica Roth, and lastly, The Selected by Evelyn Lederman. Then I also have a little Rey bobblehead Funko Pop, and this is from The Force Awakens. And of course, Star Wars is one of my favorite series ever. And of course, how could you have a shelf full of sci-fi books without something to commemorate Star Wars with? So down here is my miscellaneous fantasy shelf. This one just has more books that don't fit on the shelf above it. So to start off, we have the Red Queen series over here. The first book is Red Queen, then you have Glass Sword and King's Cage, and I'm still waiting on War Storm to come out. Then I also have the Red Queen Collector's Edition. I guess I'll get this one out for you guys because it's pretty cool. The Red Queen Collector's Edition by Victoria Aveyard, and it has this really awesome red sprayed edges. Next up is Renegades by Marissa Meyer, The Last Magician by Lisa Maxwell, Caravel by Stephanie Garber, The Traitor's Kiss by Lauren Beatty, The Darkest Part of the Forest by Holly Black, The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, and then we have An Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson, The Wrath in the Dawn by Renee Audier, Flame in the Mist by Renee Audier, and A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. And then moving on over here, we have another Funko Pop on my shelf. This is Arrow from the Arrow TV show. Green Arrow is one of my favorite heroes, and he kind of looks like Robin Hood, and he's also kind of like a superhero, so I think he just fits on the shelf really well. So over here we have Once Upon a Time, which is just a collection of short Grimm's fairy tales, and this was a promotional item for the TV show Once Upon a Time back when it premiered a few years ago. Then we have The Great Gatsby, which I really don't know why it's on this shelf because it's not fantasy. I just had nowhere else to put it, and it was small enough to fit over here. Then we have Cruel Crown, which is a novella for the Red Queen series, The Shadow Queen by C.J. Redwine, The Kiss of Deception by Mary E. Pearson, and Matched by Ali Kandi. And this shelf here is, again, pretty much more fantasy. This focuses more on, like, mystical fantasy and mythology. There's also some historical fiction on this shelf as well. So to start off, we have The Circle of Caradwyn by Octavia Randolph. This is a historical fiction Viking epic about a girl who lives in Anglo-Saxon England during some of the Viking raids back in the Dark Ages. It sounds really cool, and I am really into Viking history and all the lore about that. Then we have a book called The Study Havamal, and this is a collection of Norse proverbs believed to have been written by Odin. It has lots of life advice in there, and I've tabbed it quite a lot. You might be able to see here with some of these blue tabs. And coming right after that is Norse Mythology by Neil Gaiman. Then we have a little Thor Funko Pop here. And it's only fitting that he's here on the shelf with all the Norse mythology. I thought it was pretty cool. Next we have In the Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. And then we have A Game of Thrones and A Clash of Kings by George R.R. Martin. 1984 by George Orwell. Santa Claus, King of the Elves by B.C. Chase. Ink and Bone by Rachel Kane. The Golem and the Genie by Helen Wecker. Paper and Fire by Rachel Kane. The Winter's Curse by Marie Rutowski. Star Wars FAQ. Everything left to know about the trilogy that changed movies. And this is just a fact book that has lots of trivia in it. Then we have another Star Wars book, How Star Wars Conquered the Universe. Moving on, we have the Chronicles of Narnia box set. It has The Magician's Nephew, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, The Horse and His Boy, Prince Caspian, The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, The Silver Chair, and The Last Battle. Then I have a non-fiction book. I got this by Laurie Hernandez. I bought this book because of the Olympics, and I'm a really big fan of Laurie, and I really appreciate, you know, the work she's put into her craft and being able to kind of come out of the Olympics as, you know, a champion and someone to be celebrated. And the last book on the shelf is The Chemist by Stephenie Meyer. And then yes, it is the same Stephenie Meyer who wrote the Twilight series. So here we are down at the bottom shelf. Sorry, the angle's a little bit weird. Again, we're at the very bottom. I can barely fit over here to show you guys these books. So this is my classics shelf. As you can see, these are full of my Barnes & Noble leather-bound classics that I collect. But not only is this my classics shelf, this is also my holiday and seasonal reads shelves. Not only are they classics, but they are usually Christmas or Halloween themed because those are my two favorite holidays. So the first book over here is The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Then the next book I have is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde, Dracula by Bram Stoker, and Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. As you can tell, these are all of my Halloween-themed classics. Then next are my European fairy tale books, and the first one, of course, is Grimm's Fairy Tales, and I just love this edition. I think it is one of the most beautiful leather-bound editions I've ever seen. Again, this is also from Barnes & Noble because it's where I get all of my leather-bound classics, but I just really love the cover of this book. It's got the beautiful roses and the thorns from Sleeping Beauty. Next, I have Hans Christian Andersen's Fairy Tales, but it also has a collection of fairy tale stories in it as well. Then I have The Snow Queen and Other Winter Tales, which is also written by Hans Christian Andersen, and this is the story that inspired the movie Frozen, actually. And the last of my leather-bound classics is A Christmas Treasury, and this is a collection of classic Christmas stories, including A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens and A Night Before Christmas. Now this stack here gets more into my Christmas books. On top I have another copy of Frankenstein. Next is Winter Song by S.J. Jones. And I'm really sorry for this camera angle being so wacky. My True Love Gave to Me, 12 Holiday Stories by a lot of authors and edited by Stephanie Perkins. Let It Snow by John Green, Maureen Johnson, and Lauren Miracle. These are 3 contemporary holiday romances. This Savage Song by Victoria Schwab. This is more of a Halloween book. And Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. Then over here, this is my Divergent series. I don't really need to get these books out. I have Divergent, Insurgent, Allegiant, and 4. My original paperback copy of The City of Ember by Jean Duprow, which you saw earlier on my shelf. I don't really know why these are on this shelf other than I just didn't have room to put them anywhere else, and they fit down here. I needed a little bit of space to fill, so I put them over here, but they don't really have any relevance to the genre of the shelf. I just needed to put them down here. And I think that concludes my bookshelf tour. Well, that is my bookshelf tour. That is my whole collection of books. Thank you all so much for watching. And as always, like and subscribe if you want to see more content. And I'll see you guys real soon in my next video. Bye!